Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us over the weekend. I am Surbi, founder of LegalWiki, and I welcome all of you to this webinar on tips to crack the legal officer Grade B RBI exam. So, for this webinar, we are thrilled to have Mr. Karan with us today. So, he is an RBI legal officer who will be leading this session. Before we dive into the session, let me take a moment to introduce LegalWiki to you all. Karan, can you mute yourself for a while?
Yeah, certainly.
Okay, great. So, talking about LegalWiki, LegalWiki is the first legal news platform that presents legal news under 100 words with an option to explore more in-depth insights. So, whether you're a law student or legal professional, you're so engrossed in your work and studies that you often overlook the importance of staying updated. So, at LegalWiki, we make it effortless. So, with our website, you can stay informed in just 5 minutes a day on key legal developments. We have received an overwhelming response and more than 8,000 users have visited our website in last 3 months. So here our goal is to become in shorts for legal community. And beyond news, we have also launched LegalWiki Connect, a platform where top legal professionals share their career journeys and insights. So, through a series of webinars, we aim to guide you in making informed career decisions. This is just the beginning, and we are excited to have you on this journey with us. So now let's get back to the today's webinar. We welcome all of you to this webinar. It is our pleasure to introduce Mr. Karan Pandey, who will be guiding us through tips to crack the legal officer Grade B RBI exam. So Karan is a first generation lawyer specializing in banking and financial law. He has been serving as a legal officer at RBI for the past 3 years. He has a strong background in legal services and cleared the RBI legal officer exam on his first attempt without coaching while practicing in court. He will share valuable insights in today's session, providing an overall perspective on the RBI legal officer grade B exam and along with the last minute strategy to clear it as the exam is in next 3 months. So now moving forward, do you aspire to become an RBI Grade B legal officer? Are curious about the benefits of being an RBI Grade B legal officer? Are struggling to manage your work and exam preparation and want to know the roadmap for how to prepare for the exam? Don't worry, we will cover all these topics today, starting with the eligibility and exam pattern, subject wise preparation, what should be your study plan and resources, descriptive answer writing, and how you're supposed to manage your time, balancing work and study, and interview and career prospectus while you're working with RBI. So, now with further ado, I hand over the session to Mr. Karan. Thank you so much, Karan, for taking the time and join us today, especially on weekend. We're excited to learn from your experience and strategies. So, shall we start?
Certainly, Subi. Pleasure is all mine. Happy to be here. Thank you for having me. Uh, so, so first questions, I would like to just add a few things. So, I would like this to be a more of a conversation because I think most of the details are very much available in the notifications that come out, and I believe the notification of this year is yet to come out. So as and when it comes out, I guess most of the information is very much available on that. So I'll try to focus more on things that are not mentioned in the notification and how you go about the exam itself.
Great.
So shall we start
Yes,
with this?
definitely.
Yeah.
So, I think the first topic, the basic thing which we can cover is the eligibility and exam pattern. Although it's available online and the notification also, but you can just give a brief about it. So, what are the who are eligible and what are the eligibility criteria for this particular exam? What does the exam pattern and selection process looks like? And if there is any recent changes in the syllabus or the pattern that candidate should be aware of.
So starting off with the first one, I would say what are the eligibility criteria? Well, eligibility criteria is basic. You need to be a law graduate, so LLB is a must. Apart from that, you need to have at least 2 years of experience. So that experience can be as practicing as a lawyer, advocate before any of the courts. For that, you'll need to get your bar council registration done, and another important factor is you need to get an experience certificate from the registered bar association. So, whichever bar association you are affiliated to, you need to get an experience certificate of 2 years from them. So that is a very important factor which people tend to overlook. So be sure of that. Another way to get your experience is by way of teaching. So if you are teaching before any of the colleges or universities, but law profession, not, I mean, you can't be teaching any other subject. You need to be a legal professor. Another way to do it is if you are an in-house counsel in any of the PSUs or any of major banks. So an experience certificate from there also works. Apart from that, you have age criterias, which I believe is 21 to 32. But those can be relaxed if you have LLM or PhDs. So maybe 1 year, a couple of years there. Um, so I guess that is your basic groundwork, and of course you need to have minimum 50% marks, which I believe most universities are generous enough in marks these days, so that isn't really an issue. So I guess that is a basic requirement that you need to have, or candidate needs to have before applying for this job in the first place. Next one is the exam pattern and the selection process. Well, the exam pattern is it is a little different from the generalist grade B exams which people are generally used to. So legal exam is a little different. You have two question papers. Basically, first one being again both of them are 3 hours. First one being for 150 marks, out of which 20 marks are MCQs, which is purely legal focused. So there is not much. I mean, as you were saying, there's more of a legal awareness that is required, not general awareness. So, but general awareness certainly helps because they form a synergy of sorts. So 20 marks for that, purely MCQs. Apart from that, 130 marks of legal descriptive paper. So when I gave the exam back in 2021, the pattern was that you'll get the questions, they'll appear online in front of a computer screen and have to write the answers in your answer sheet. So generally, those questions you have to uh, look at the questions. First 20 minutes or 30 minutes, I guess, of the exam are earmarked so that you can clear off the MCQs. So you don't have to write them down in your question paper. You simply have to click and that's it. After that, the remaining part of the exam, you have to write the answers down in your answer sheet. So that is the first half. The second paper is purely English. So you will have, it is very similar to the grade B exam. So you'll have essay writing, letter writing, or circular, as the case may be, and one Pressy writing. So Pressy writing was something new for me because I've never experienced that earlier. So it's basically nothing but a summary of whatever you are seeing. So you have to be as direct and to the point as possible, and the shorter the better. That is the name of the game as far as Pressy writing is concerned. And I'll discuss further on how to go about with time management of this exam itself. So I guess we can cover that up later. Uh, the last one being, are there any recent changes in the syllabus or pattern that candidates should be aware of? Well,
Let me check with Mr. Karan. I think there is some internet issue.
hello.
Yeah, Karan, you're audible.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry for that. I received a call.
No
Uh,
problem.
yeah.
But your
So,
camera is not on. Yeah, it's fine.
it's on, right? Okay.
Yeah, yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah. So taking off from where we left, so are there any recent changes in the pattern? Well, to be honest, I cannot answer that question mostly because it all depends on the notification. Nothing is set in stone, and RBI being a little dynamic in these regards, we can never be certain of something. But by and large, the pattern will remain the same. But again, nothing is set in stone. And plus, the examination itself is conducted by the organization called as IBPS and not by RBI itself. So a lot of it depends on how IBPS plans to go about it. As most other regulators as well, I believe they also have delegated the entire task of conducting examination. I mean, of course, regulators as well as PSUs and public sector banks to IBPS. So I guess IBPS takes a call on that. So I guess the best way to prepare for it is to simply build your knowledge base and wait for the notification to come.
Great. So let's move forward with the next part. So subject-wise preparation. So as you know that when it comes to the syllabus, there are a lot of subjects they have to cover in the law itself. So what are the key subjects and topics candidates should focus on? Now, how to go about the legal section as well? Is it very tough? And I think I've seen the notification part where you can write your answers in Hindi and English as well. So accordingly, you can talk about that as well. And what type of questions appear in the general section, general knowledge section, and law paper, and what are the most important topics based on past trends and weightage. And you can also relate with your experience that how you prepared, what are the topics. So basically there are a lot of subjects, so accordingly it's very difficult to manage all the subjects, and the person should be good in all the subjects, very difficult. So accordingly, tell what is the major subject they should focus on, or the minor subjects they can ignore if they're not good with that particular subject.
Well, to be honest, how I approach this, I guess that would answer, I mean, most of the issues. I mean, because I can tell from my experience, everyone has their own strategy. So how I approached it was simply because I was practicing. I was mostly practicing before the criminal courts, civil courts, and the high court. So, and some of it was the company law tribunal. So, considering all these factors, I just took it as a learning exercise since there were I was practicing in diverse areas. Being a jack of all and master of none was a much more clearer strategy for me. So I took it upon me that I just went through the question papers of previous year. Because the syllabus itself, if you look at it, it's very I mean, it's not. It's very wide. It's not very pinpoint or precise like that. So it has constitution, administrative laws, interpretation of statutes, contract. So all of these subjects, we take a span of like an average law student takes at least 5 years to complete all of these subjects. Constitution is taught over a span of 2 years in some colleges. So certainly, being a master in constitution itself is a very difficult task, uh, and people do their PhDs in just one topic of constitution. So certainly, they're not looking for people who are absolute masters in these topics, but certainly you should be able. You are already aware of what all are the important parts of the constitution. And constitution, I'm taking just an example. For each and every subject, this thing holds true. So all of us have cleared these exams. So knowledge base is already there. So I guess the only part left out is the preparation part. So how do you prepare? So preparation in itself should be for the exam. So the best way to approach it is to go through the question papers of previous years, see which topics are being covered the most, and after you're done with that, then you can start your preparation. And preparation also consists of simply brushing through cases. And what are the key subjects and topics? So what I could find from my research for the examination itself was that constitution is given a specific weightage in a way. Like every exam will have at least one question from constitution, if not in the MCQs, certainly in the descriptive paper. Apart from that, contract is also given a lot of weightage. And in my exam, there were several case studies that came up, especially on the NI Act. So check bounce cases. So having practical ideas about these laws is much more important at times instead of just bookish knowledge, because the NI Act question, that a check bounce case, was specifically a very hands-on approach you required. I mean, you must have dealt with at least one check bounce case to actually know the timelines as well as the sections that you're going to use and the kind of recourses and advice that you can offer to your client. So I would suggest that you should not really be too much concerned about the syllabus itself. Just go through the question papers and find out the topics that are there. And most importantly, find synergy between what you're existingly doing. So most of the people who are watching this must be practicing or at least teaching law, or maybe some of them are even in-house counsel. So whatever work that you're doing, it's after all legal work. So you are learning on the job as well. So there's don't be too focused on simply opening a book and reading from it. Use it to in your workplace as well as for preparing the exam. Shall we go to the next question? So, how should a candidate prepare for the English section? Is it very tough? To be honest, no. English section, you will get ample of time. Plus, the way it works is you'll get a question appear on the screen and you have to type the answer. So, most of us are adept in the art of typing now, mostly because all of us are using smartphones and we are all comfortable with typing. So I don't think that should be an issue because you have just three questions out of which, you have to solve the three questions. You'll have options in those questions itself. So some questions will have two options or three options, as the case may be. And you have 3 hours. So you have more than sufficient time to go through, revise your answer sheet multiple times, and you have to feed in the answer. So the only issue is the portal that they use is not as user friendly. So take a while to get used to it. But I don't think that is a very big problem. Within 5 to 10 minutes, you'll figure it out, and you can certainly start typing answers. And as I was saying, that Prezi writing is the only one which I feel is which we most of us have not studied in schools and colleges. So that is you can practice that. It hardly takes a few hours to get a hang of it, and then you can approach it like that. And being lawyers, legal professionals, most of us study in English, so I don't think that would be a problem as well. Uh, Mostly because it's very straightforward. The level of English is not very high. To be very honest, it's very basic. They just want to know that you are able to converse and communicate well, and if you are able to portray that, then I guess you are aces. Moving on to what type of questions appear in general knowledge and law paper. Well, to be honest, general knowledge, there were not, I don't think there were any questions from general knowledge as far as the legal exam for RBI is concerned. I think SEBI has it, that they have a general awareness paper. So, they again, the questions there are mostly with regards to the specific financial news that is going around. Along with that, some other general awareness questions as well. So the best way to approach general awareness, what I feel, is like the portal that you have created. So such portals really help because you just have to brush through them, and then you don't have to like really remember them, but you should have that recollection of what you read earlier. So portals like these really help because you can just go brush through whatever information that is available within 5 to 10 minutes in a day, which you can spend in like lots of activities that you're doing. So that wouldn't be a much of an issue. Especially, well, from my personal experience, when I was practicing, so a lot of time I could see that a lot of time was being spent in simply waiting. So you're waiting for your case, you're waiting for a senior, you're waiting for a conference. Since you're a junior advocate, you don't really have the liberty to set meetings. You just have the liberty to attend such meetings. So you have to wait a lot. So during those hours, you can actually use a lot of that time to go through such sort of portals, and as along with that also prepare. So whatever meeting that you're going for, whatever case that you have, just simply go through the file. You will learn a lot of things, and you will understand the practical applications, which will in turn help you not with your profession but also with the exams. So basically, all of these exams, they just want to see if you can really practice law or not, or if you can really apply that law or not just the bookish knowledge. So that is a pivotal point which people don't understand, that see, if there are so many subjects, if it took you 5 years to study law, certainly you cannot cram up all of that information into a few hours or just a few days. You need to be groomed like that in a way. So for that grooming, there's a self grooming involved in this. So whenever you're practicing, be 100% true to it. And it will certainly show in these exams as well. Then finally, what are the most important topics based on the past trends and various? Well, Constitution certainly. I would say up until part 4 of the Constitution, everything is important because they will focus mostly on these areas. So fundamental rights. So I guess Maneka Gandhi case has been asked twice in the past years. And apart from that, in my question paper, there was one of the questions on citizenship. So again, they take a lot of cues from the latest developments, and they try and add those questions as well. But again, those questions are very open-ended and wide. They're not very pinpoint. So you can elaborate as much as you want, and you can just showcase your knowledge, whatever you have.
So Karan, I do have two follow-up questions. So as you mentioned that they ask a lot of case laws. So when it comes to case laws, that's the past case laws, the precedent one, or the latest case laws they focus on. And the second one is you mentioned about the NI Act. So considering that this exam related to the bank, so mostly do they focus on the banking laws as well, the Banking Regulations Act which we are having, or
Uh,
banking news related to banking news, something like that?
with regards to your first question, I would say they do not ask specifically on any latest case laws, at least not in the phase one of the exam. That is the question paper, that is the written exam. They do ask latest case laws in the interview phase. So I guess that answers it. That for the examination itself, it would be better if you simply write the landmark judgments because it gives the clarity as well. And at the time of interviews, if at all you are confronted with such a question, you can answer that accordingly at that stage. And as far as your second question is concerned regarding the NI Act, could you please repeat the question again?
So basically, as this exam is related to bank, so they do focus mostly on the banking laws as well, like banking
Uh,
regulations act, or something
Actually, they
news
do
related
not
to
actually.
certification
So
circles. Hmm.
the because if you look at the syllabus as well, it does not mention Banking Regulation Act and the RBI Act at all. They simply focus on because they I guess the understanding is that you should be a good lawyer, and then certainly you can take up these acts as well because the utility part of these acts, apart from Reserve Bank, if unless you're in compliance, there's no role for these acts. The other acts are more useful for your practice and all of those things. But once you come into the Reserve Bank, you realize that these are your bread and butter now. So you have to take up that journey of learning these acts at that stage. But however, for this examination point of view, I don't think there's any importance apart from simply having some general awareness about why exactly and where RBI is getting these powers. So I guess a few important provisions can be brushed up, but they are certainly not a necessity for the exam itself.
Great. So for IBPS, mostly they focus on all these laws, but when it comes to RBI, that's not their priority.
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah. Okay, let's move forward. So, what should be their study plan and what are the resources they can use for their preparation? So, the first question is like how they can structure their study plan. What are the subjects they should cover first? How they should plan their study plan. So now, how so they should go for the self study or the coaching center they should go for. What are the best books, online resources available for all these things? And as the exam is also in like within 3 months, so what should their study plans should look like?
So basically the study plan itself, I would say, since I was working, so I did not really have a study plan per se. I just wanted to brush up my knowledge. So I guess I can give that perspective to people, where people who are working and they want to pursue this exam as well. So I would say, study when read whenever you have an opportunity to, because if at all, like I was saying, a lot of times you have a case, you have something, you're just going there for a simple task of an adjournment. But what that case is, that would certainly revolve. If it is before the High Court, certainly you have to go through the Constitution all over again, or at least one provision of it. And apart from that, the case itself. So if it's a, let's say, law of contracts case or any other case, you just go through the case. So you would get a lot of idea of how exactly practically law is being applied. So you take that as a law opportunity. So it helps in this exam as well, because a lot of questions, like I said, the NIAC question was very specific, and apart that was not the only case study based questions. There were other questions as well on CPC and all of those cases. So don't think that since it's an RBI exam, you need to go through the entire banking laws of BR Act and just keep on reading that. No, you will be surprised by the question paper then. So don't do that. So that is number one. As far as which subject should I have covered first, I would say just cover the Constitution first. It's a grand norm, and if your Constitution is strong, I guess you can flourish in other subjects as well. And so the basics, I guess, so Constitution, CPC, CRPC, evidence, and contract acts. I guess if you have a good grasp over these subjects, I guess you will flourish in the exam, and not only in the exam, even in other areas as well. Because in every aspect of our transactions that we have in our country, these acts, they always come in handy, and there's some way or the other always involved. And can I prepare through self study, or should I join? I don't know if there are any coaching centers that are there for this with adequate experience. I mean, there are certainly several of them for the grade B exam, I suppose, but I don't think there are enough for the legal exam. So I mean, it wasn't for me, but certainly if you can find value in a coaching center, certainly I wouldn't tell you to not do that. Whatever helps your case. But I would say that most of the people that I know who cleared the exam, none of them took any coaching. All of them did it through the self study, and mostly because there was not enough at that stage. I don't know what the situation is right now, but certainly if you are thorough with your own topics, and if you understand the question paper itself, I don't think there should be any problem. Apart from that, what are the best books and online resources for law and general awareness? Well, I would say that there are no best books. The best book is just the Bare Act. If you can simply go through the bare act and understand the provision, I guess that is more than sufficient. Simply because you don't have enough time to while writing those exams, that exam. So the legal paper, at least, you don't have sufficient time to quote several case laws, whatever you read in commentaries on the discussions or the illustrations. You just barely have enough time to write the bare provision of it, explain it in a couple of lines, and maybe write a illustration. That's it. That is also very much of a long shot. So it would be better to, I mean, unless and until you are going for a research topic, then of course those lengthy commentaries will help. But as far as this exam is concerned, no, I would say that simply go through the bare act. If you are unable to understand the provision or you want a detailed understanding of a provision, then you can certainly switch over to a commentary. But first, finish your bare acts. Be very thorough with it. And bare acts are really handy. So I would suggest people to simply carry one bare act every single day to your workplace, and whenever you have time, just start reading a page. Because every single page you will just get new topics. And another very important thing that people miss out on is that simply discussing. So discuss as many topics as possible with your friends, people at your workplace, because then you'll get more insights. You'll get different point of views. You'll understand the provisions better and how they are seeing that provision in certain cases, and using that you can leverage it into increasing. I mean, improving onto your answer writing skills as well. Apart from that, finally, if I start preparing now for the next year's for this year's exam, what should be my study plan look like? What should my study plan? Well, it should look like the way it is looking right now. I mean, there's no requirement for you to study for years together for this particular exam, because you have already studied. I mean, let's be honest, all of us have gone through the rigors of law school. There's no requirement for any more rigors to for this particular exam. You have already practiced for at least 2 years, so I don't think there is any requirement to what should your study plan look like. It's just study as and when you have time, and understand the exam. Devote a little bit of time to understanding the exam, understanding the pattern, and thinking about it from a point of view where you think that okay, this is how I'll approach the exam. These are the topics that I need to cover, and this much amount of time will take. It can differ from person to person. Don't lie to yourself that oh, my friend is able to finish constitution in just one night. Why am I taking 5 days? It's okay to take 5 days. What is important is being right. It's not important to how quickly you are right at. So I would say there's a more than sufficient time, even from the date of notification to the date of exam, because the date of, I guess the notification will come out generally comes out somewhere around April. I'm not quite sure when it will come out this year, but if it comes out somewhere around April, then the summer holidays are approaching in the high courts, so the workload will obviously be less. So use these summer holidays to brush up on your skills, and certainly if not RBI, then certainly it will help you in your practice itself.
Perfect. So let's move forward.
Yeah, certainly.
Let's talk about the descriptive answer writing and time management. So, how do we write descriptive answers? So, is there any specific format you should keep in mind while writing the answers, and also the word limit? Is there any restrictions on that? And how can candidates improve their answer writing skills for the descriptive paper and the time management for the same?
All right. So, starting with the first one. So, how do we write descriptive answers, and is there any specific format? So, RBI does not provide any specific format, and there's no set format that this is the perfect format that you have to follow. Absolutely not. You can choose whichever format you are comfortable with. But I can give from my personal experience as to how I approached it. So most of my law schools I did not do this, but for this particular exam, I just said that okay, let's just try, give it a try, and it actually worked marvelously. So I'll just share my experience. So while approaching any question, whatever question is being asked, it's better to simply write a small paragraph at the initial stage itself, answering exactly what has been asked. So you give a brief summary and then you start elaborating upon those points. So then you provide the provision itself, and try and be very precise and not very elaborate. So once you provide the provision, then you give certain illustrations, and then if you have the space and the time, then you can certainly go for the case laws as well. So coming to the next question, is there any candidates improve their writing skills for the descriptive paper, and if there is any word limit? I would say there is no word limit as such, because they also provide you for supplementary answer sheets within the exam. So there's no issue as such with regards to word limit. But certainly, if you are precise, I don't think you will. Precision is the name of the game. It's not elaboration. What I would say. So don't deviate from the topic itself. Be very much relevant. And to improve the answer writing, I would say one of the things that I did was so they allow black pen, blue pen, and a pencil. So three things that they allow on your question page, on your answer sheet. So those are the three things that you can leverage to really make your answer sheet more attractive. So the things that I did was whenever writing a topic, write it in a point-wise manner, which I believe most of us have learned in law schools as well, but sometimes it gets overlooked. So doing that really helps. Another way to do it is simply underlining and highlighting. So you're not allowed a highlighter. So you can simply go for, if you write in cursive, you can simply go for capital for headings, and then you can write your answer in cursive. So that at least it gives an impression that you have clarity of thought. Plus, I have really bad handwriting, so I really had to rely on these things to make my answer sheet look attractive. So, if anyone has bad handwriting, I understand your pain that this is too late, I guess, to improve upon handwriting. But certainly, you can still make it more attractive or at least neat, because neatness is still in our hands, even though handwriting is not. So that is one way to approach it. And finally, what time management strategies can help candidates attempt all questions efficiently? Well, I would suggest time management would boil down to simply the strategy that I guess most of us use. And if you have not been using, I would suggest start using it because it really helps. So I started doing this in law schools. Is to simply go through the entire question paper first. Don't be in a rush to start writing the moment you get the answer sheet. So you go through the entire question paper first and you figure out which answer you want to write and how many questions you are able to answer properly. Then try and put your best foot forward. So whichever question you understand the best, you start with that. Once you have done that, you can also, another one trick is that how do you know that several times people say that I was elaborating on one particular question so much that I did not have time to finish the others. So one of the things that you can do is just sit for a day or an evening and take up any topic that you like and start writing about that topic. Write as much as you can and keep a timer beside you. Once you're done with writing everything about that topic, just time yourself. So now you have an idea about how much time you take on a topic when you know the answer to that topic. So once you go through the question paper, you will be having an idea of how much you know about which topic, and then you can time yourself, you can gauge yourself, and then you can efficiently manage your time beforehand before you even start writing the answers. So I guess that really helps as far as time management is concerned. And by and large, in my experience, the RBI paper, the legal paper is, well, I mean, if you answer it precisely, you have sufficient time. But the moment you start deviating from the topic, you will not have sufficient time. So they've designed it in a way because it's 150 marks. So certainly they want to, and in 3 hours, certainly they want to extract a lot of information from you. So it's very much important that you don't deviate from the topic and you know exactly what you're doing. So going through the question paper and having a general idea about what you want to say is always better compared to simply attempting it head on from the get go.
Great.
Right, over
So
to you, Subi.
uh, let's move forward with the next part. So now how you can balance your work and study, as you know that it requires 2 years of experience. So mostly the candidates who will be appearing for the exam, they are working. So how is it possible to balance? Any tips for working professionals and how many hours per day they could dedicate and how they can manage it?
Yeah. So I would say it is very much possible. I guess it is. You should not really think of working as an impediment to this exam and its preparation. I would say it is an added feather to your cap. You should consider yourself lucky that you are getting paid to be working to study for this exam because you learn on the job, which the things you could not have learned in law school you are able to learn now, and you can implement them in the exam and you're getting paid for it. So a lot of people who are not working or not practicing actually have, or not practicing, I wouldn't say not practicing, I would say people who are not working will not really have an edge in this exam because they design it in a way that they want people who are working professionals. So people who have worked on topics, who have studied those topics in depth, they will obviously have an edge in these exams. So I would say as far as working professionals are concerned, like I said, just take a bear act with you every single day because bear acts are handy. and just read the bare act in that particular day, because after a couple of weeks you will be having knowledge of the things that you are working on, and that will help you be faster at your work, more efficient at your work, and more importantly it will also help you in this exam as well. So it's like a combination of both these things that will help you excel in the exam. So I would say it should not be balancing work and this thing. I think it should be leveraging. So wherever you can leverage, just leverage that thing. So if you have a case of constitution, just go through the constitution, go through that particular provision, understand how you can connect that provision with other provisions, and then that will really help you in the exam as well, because that is what they look for while you are writing your answers in these exams. Moving to the second topic, how many hours a day I should dedicate to preparation? Well, I wouldn't say that, I mean, as many as you can, and there's no specific number. So, like I said, your preparation will go hand in hand with the work that you're doing. So, if you are blessed enough to be working in the legal profession, just keep on, be dedicated to the profession. So, whatever topic that comes to you, whatever research topic, anything that comes to you, just be 100%, give 100% to it, and I guess that would really help. And as far as how many hours you need to dedicate, like I said, certain things that you need to prepare for are time management. Well, you have to write down, so maybe an evening for that, and another few days for understanding the question paper itself and finding out the topics that are helpful for you, and which you think you should focus on. So maybe an hour or two a day for understanding these things and preparing would be helpful. And as then when the exam approaches, then certainly you can give yourself question papers and try and solve them in a span of 3 hours. Uh, so that can be like moving to the final week of the exam. I guess 3 hours a day for simply for writing those answers would be helpful. So I guess it's very much doable like that from that angle. But most importantly, you need to be really thorough with whatever you're working on. So if you are, let's say, a practicing professional or not, if you are giving 100% at your job, I guess these things will be very much easy. But if, let's say, you are getting a new topic, so several of my friends, they applied for this exam, and they were practicing lawyers in different fields. So they were mostly, some of them were simply into criminal laws, and they were not really focused about other topics. So even when they tried these exams, they were able to do it well enough, mostly because they were also focused on to uh, because their basics were clear. So interpretation and contracts and other things were clear. So once they moved, switched to constitution, everything, they gave it a couple of days, and they were able to understand the nuances of it. But certainly, if you have practiced in that particular forte, it helps really in these exams. But the problem is, since it's such a diverse topic, nobody has practice in every single field. So you just use your strengths, is what I would say. So by and large, focus most of your time on constitution, because you can use constitutional provisions in other places as well. In most of the answers, you can still use constitutional provisions. So if you are able to connect that, that will only come through practice and through having an in-depth knowledge. So dedicating time on constitution would really help. But by and large, just keep on reading as much as possible, and certainly the legal news helps. So if at all they are able to go through the legal news through several portals, like you were talking about the LegalWiki. So portals like these, they really help because then they can be focused. So if at all any topic comes up, they just take it upon themselves. Okay, what is this topic about? Which laws are involved? What these laws exactly say? So it gives a nice headway into understanding the nuances of the latest news, and it makes you a better lawyer overall. And like I said, finally, you have to discuss. So as and whenever you have the time, please start discussing with as many people as possible. Over to
So
you.
Karan, I do have one follow-up question here. So what is the level of paper? It's like easy, medium, hard, or it differs year-wise.
I would say it's mostly revolving around. I mean, certainly it differs year-wise, but by and large, if you look at it, it's the questions are of any law school level exam that you have seen, legal exam.
And it's a direct question. It's not like ghuma fira ke they're asking the question. It's very direct questions they're asking.
Yeah.
Like
So
what is the basic structure? If you can focus on Kishore and Bharti case like that, direct questions.
certainly. So they are very direct like that, and they are very open-ended like that. So the basic structure, if you want to write about it, people have written theses on it, and they want you to write something in, let's say, 200, 300 words. So certainly you have to cover all the basics, and you need to project that you have the knowledge. That is the most important part, and everything helps. So highlighting important points helps. What you highlight is also important. So considering all of those things, I guess the grooming is important in this exam, instead of just simply having the knowledge base, because everyone has the knowledge base. It's simply how you project yourself and how well you are able to communicate. So certainly that would help.
Okay. So let's move forward to our last part, I think. So now coming to the interview and career perspectives. So what are the key areas candidates should focus on during the interview round? So mostly the questions comes from the legal part, or there are some questions related to HR parts also. So what type of questions do they ask in the interview, and what are the career growth opportunities for an RBI Grade B legal officers? And what's your day-to-day work? So what's the day-to-day work of an RBI legal officer looks like? That's it.
So I'll answer the first two questions first. So what are the key areas for candidates should focus on in an interview, and what type of questions do they ask in the interview? So key areas, well, certainly they revolve around whatever you have written. So once you are done with your examination, you have been called for your interview, they ask you to give a biodata. So in that biodata, you write your education, all the things that you have worked on. So whatever you have mentioned therein, they will focus their questions mostly on that. So they will not deviate. And one of the most important things in RBI interviews as compared to others, so several of these interviews people compare it with civil services. So civil services interviews are very different compared to RBI interviews or any regulators interviews, because civil services interviews they focus mostly on more of a elaborate discussion. In RBI they want precision. So if they ask you something, you take your time and then you answer within a sentence. They don't want you to elaborate a lot on it. And the questions will be asked in such a way that they'll be mostly revolving around legal questions. So mostly all the questions that I was asked were legal, and apart from barring from a few. But then again, they understand that you are a legal professional, so they will focus their interview mostly on legal questions. And as far as topics are concerned, well, this is the place where I would say having knowledge about the latest developments really helps. Because I remember one of the questions that I was asked was a very simple, straightforward question was, have you read any latest case laws or latest development in the legal world related to banking? So fortunately, I had read upon the latest development that Supreme Court had come out back then. Supreme Court had come out with the guidelines for NI Act. That High Court should come out with guidelines for all the lower courts, special courts that are dealing with check bounce cases for summary trials. So in that only Hyderabad High Court had come out at that point of time with the specific guidelines. Justice Seema Kohli was the Chief Justice at that point of time. She was just recently elevated to the Supreme Court. So since I was aware of all of these things, I was able to answer this question and the follow-up question as well, which gave segue to another question that they asked with regards to the latest developments in the locker guidelines that have happened in RBI and the Supreme Court case that followed it. Now, the most important thing was this moment because I had no clue about this. So I guess this is the most pivotal thing that people understand, that you are not going to win it by faking it. You have to be very honest. So because they look at integrity is the most important thing. So if you're honest, it works. So I simply answered that I do not know the question, and I'll have to read up upon it, and that was appreciated. It wasn't really, there were no frowns or disappointments that were coming from their end. It was mostly just cheers and laughs. So I guess being honest really helps in interviews, and have faith in yourself. Whatever you know, you have reached there, so that means you have sufficient knowledge to reach the interview round. And as far as topics are concerned, heaven and earth can happen, but limited to your biodata. But they can move away from your biodata and start asking you other questions. So if they see that you have worked in a bank, they can ask you questions regards to HR, as you were saying, or with regards to specific banking compliances that may happen in your day-to-day job. Sarfazi can again be a very good topic which that can be asked. Fortunately, I mean not fortunately or unfortunately, since I had only practiced, so I was not asked these questions, but I was asked questions in other areas like. I was asked questions on CPC, on CRPC, and the basic things, the basic definitions, that what is a civil code, where has that definition been defined. So it's a much of a, I would say, think of it like a rapid fire round from Coffee with Karan, where Karan just keeps on asking you questions in a speedy manner, and if you have answered correctly, you get a gift hamper. So in this case, you just get good marks. And coming to the next topic, what are the career growth opportunities like in RBI Grade B? Well, you start at the level Grade B, that is a manager, and you can go up to Grade F, that is a legal advisor. So the promotions are very set, very much set. Like you get a rollover promotion and from B to C, C to D, and then there are interviews at the higher level. But that comes later in your career. As far as the day-to-day work of RBI legal officer looks like, well, it mostly looks well, I can divide it into three. That number one being the litigation management, because each and several cases are being filed against RBI, where RBI is the party, not directly against RBI. In some cases, RBI as well. So in several high courts, so you have to deal with the litigation itself. So people who are having experience in, let's say, practicing, or they have been in-house counsels, they have an edge. I mean, it's comfortable for them because you need to prepare notes and you have to suggest what course of action the bank should take. The next being the references. So there are 17 departments in the Reserve Bank, and those departments they keep on sending references with whether whatever action they are taking, whether it is compliant with the provisions of RBI Act or BR Act, or the other acts like DPSS Act and FEMA Act, which enable RBI to pass on certain regulations. So those acts, you need to just see whether this action will comply with those acts or not, and whether we foresee any litigation coming out of it or not. And finally, it comes down to the notifications itself or any regulations being passed by RBI. So that again has a very important role, because whatever regulations that RBI is passing, those regulations have to be compliant with the enabling acts. So again, your constitution, right from your constitution to the way, to the bare bones, the latest circulars that RBI has issued, you have to go through everything. So overall, it's a very exciting job like that. If you, and plus the best part about this organization is that if you are a knowledge hungry person, the organization enables you to acquire more knowledge and do more things. So that is by far the most rewarding part of this job. Over to you, Sudhi.
Yeah, that's it. So I think the floor is open for the questions. So those who have joined us, if you do have any questions from Mr. Karan, you can also ask. And moving further, we can also wind up the session also. I think you have answered mostly all the questions. So
I have tried my best.
yeah, yeah, it was more than enough, I think. So I think we can conclude the session also. If you do
Certainly.
have anything else to add for the aspirants who will be appearing in this exam in this year, you can, or otherwise we can wind up the session.
Oh, certainly. As a parting remark, I would like to add that I got 60% marks in my 12th board, which was very less compared to all my cousins and my peers. But I still was able to clear this exam. So I would suggest that if I can, anyone can. You don't really need to be out of this world knowledgeable. You just need to be motivated, I guess, to clear
Motivated
this
and
exam.
smart enough to manage your time with your work.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, like I said, the name of the game is leverage, and if the way I approached it is simply that what reading through all of these things, if you, it would help me. If not with the exam, it would help me with certainly with other things in my practice itself. So that was an added benefit. Also, another thing is not to focus on simply one exam. So there are other regulators as well. You can focus on their exams as well, and because there is again, there's a lot of overlap in the syllabus as far as legal stream is concerned. So give me all of these exams. They will, if not RBI, then certainly you can get into other organizations. And if the RBI exam is happening later compared to these other exams, you will have a nice practice moving going up to the RBI exam itself. So just keep on giving exams. It's really fun, and certainly it will help you with your career as well, apart from the Reserve Bank exam itself.
Yeah, great, great. So thank you so much, Karan, for such an insightful session, actually. And it was truly invaluable. And we appreciate you explaining each and every aspect of this exam in detail. And I'm sure this session will be greatly helpful for the aspirants who are appearing for the exam this year and next year also. Students, lawyers who want to looking forward for this exam. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Surbi.
Yes, sir.
Pleasure
And
for having.
yes. And
Sorry.
those who are watching this video, you can also, comment and ask the questions. I'll mostly try to clear this from Karan also later on. And do visit our website for legalwiki.co. So we are publishing the news in short under 100 words, and it will definitely help you out in your exam as well. and subscribe our channel, stay updated with for our upcoming webinars. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Subi.
Thank you. Thank you, Karan. Bye.